Graphic design, social media, marketing, branding? Check out our sponsors Vision Byte Creative Design Studio on visionbyte.co.uk to find out more and use code APE20 for 20% off your first order. Yo, what's going on people? It's your boy Ape Huncho, back at you again with another video. So in 2020 so far, we've covered a wide range of news stories revolving around street news in the UK. But I think this next one we're about to get into has probably shocked me the most out of all the stories we've covered so far this year. In fact, it's probably the most disturbing story I've covered on my channel since I started it. Now before we get into that story though, I did report that earlier on this month that a 12-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy had been shot in separate shootings, but fortunately they had both survived. And to be honest, at that point it was quite shocking that literally children on the streets of the UK are getting shot at. And if you haven't seen that coverage, I will leave it linked down in the description. Feel free to go check that out before you get this little update. And a quick update surrounding the 12-year-old boy who had got shot. It does seem like a boy aged 17 has now been charged with attempted murder. The teenager, who can't be named for legal reasons, was charged on the 15th of March 2020 with attempted murder, and he appeared before the youth court session of Leeds Magistrates Court on the 16th of March 2020. Detectives from the Homicide and Major Inquiry team are still urging any witnesses to come forward though, and West Yorkshire Police said a further arrest has also been made, that being a 38-year-old Huddersfield man, and he was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder on the 15th and was held in police custody for questioning, and at this current time I'm unsure whether any charges have been brought against him. Also, 4 other youths, 3 16-year-olds and a 17-year-old, were arrested a couple days after the shooting, and they have been released on bail pending further inquiries. And a quick update surrounding the condition of the 12-year-old boy. It's sadly being reported that he suffered potentially life-changing injuries, but he is still continuing to recover. And regarding the shooting of the 15-year-old boy, it doesn't seem like there's been any arrest at this current time, but if there is any updates surrounding any of these situations, as always, I'll keep you guys updated. And on the topic of children falling victim to acts of savagery on the streets of the UK, I have to sadly report that a 7-year-old girl was stabbed to death in a park last Sunday on Mother's Day. So on the 22nd of March 2020, Greater Manchester Police were called to Queen's Park in Bolton at 2:34 PM to report of a child being stabbed. A short while later, when they arrived with the ambulance service and their ambulance, they had found that a 7-year-old child had been attacked with a knife in what is thought to have been a completely random and unprovoked attack. The child sustained extremely serious injuries believed to be in her neck, and despite the best efforts of her family and medical responders, she sadly died a short while later. Immediately after the attack, a 30-year-old woman who was not known to the child or to her family was detained by a member of the public at the scene until police arrived. When they arrived, the woman was initially arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, but that was then changed to murder given the circumstances. Assistant Chief Constable Russ Jackson said that the child had been enjoying a day out with the family before the unprovoked attack and described it as a family's worst nightmare. He said, "Words cannot describe how awful this attack is. The family were out in the park, enjoying the spring sun, when in a totally unprovoked and random attack, this little girl sustained horrendous injuries and sadly died a short while later." A 30-year-old woman who was not known to the family was detained by a member of the public and then arrested by the police. She is currently in custody for murder, and it is expected she'll be interviewed by detectives later. He said officers are working to understand a motive for the completely random attack, and he added, "We understand that the woman has had some history of mental illness, and we are working to understand if this played any part in her motive." Eyewitnesses had told the Manchester Evening News that they had saw the young girl being given CPR as 2 adults stood covered in blood nearby. Eyewitness Kyra Coop said, "We were sat on the benches near the railings when we saw 2 police officers running across the park as fast as they could. Then we saw the big air ambulance hovering over and landing. You know when you see that, it's something serious. Then a girl ran over and said a little girl has been stabbed. The police started coming around and asking everyone to leave, and that's what we did. It left us really shaken up. We had to reassure the kids as they were really upset." Another witness had told reporters that there was about 10 police cars that they could see. They went on to say, "It's a really heavy police presence. Both main entrances to the park are closed, and it looks like the entire park is being cordoned off. There's around 10 officers guarding one entrance. There's a bit of a crowd of people forming as well." Witness Kelly Roscoe said on Facebook, "Me and Lee have just taken Ava for some fresh air in Queen's Park, and have just witnessed a little girl being given CPR, with 2 adults stood covered in blood. Police, ambulance and helicopters everywhere covering the park. Then a day later, which would have been yesterday, the 23rd of March 2020, Assistant Chief Constable Russ Jackson of Greater Manchester Police would go on to say, "It's hard to describe how terrible this incident was. The attack happened in front of the parents of this little girl, who had taken her out yesterday afternoon to enjoy the spring sun and play in the park. Having seen this horrendous attack, a member of the public bravely chased after the woman and detained her until police arrived and arrested her. I would like to thank him for his actions, which enabled us to quickly arrest her and prevent anything else from happening. The woman arrested yesterday at the scene of the attack on the little girl in Bolton has now been detained under the Mental Health Act. We have informed the family of the woman's detention and they are understandably distraught over what happened yesterday, and we will continue to support them with family liaison officers in the coming months." He went on to say several officers who attended the park were very young in service in the police, some with only weeks on independent police patrol. They and all the officers who went to the scene are incredibly upset over what has happened, and all of us have this little girl and her family in our thoughts. I want to stress that this is not an end to the criminal investigation. We will consider the evidence and consult with the Crown Prosecution Service, and if appropriate, we will be seeking criminal charges. Now, if any further information comes out regarding this situation, as always, I'll keep you guys updated. Now, before we continue, I've got to take this time out and send my condolences to the family of the 7-year-old girl, and I'd appreciate it if you could leave yours down in the comments section below. I couldn't imagine what it's like to lose your child, let alone lose your child at 7 years old. This is why we have to make sure that we check up on people, if you know them, who have mental health problems and give them the right help that they need, because sometimes serious things like this end up happening. Some people don't seem to understand how mental health works and how serious it can be, and unfortunately in this case a little child has lost their life. Now, I don't know what mental health problems this 30-year-old woman had, but the police are confirming that she did have mental health issues. But the fact that this happened in a park in broad daylight with other children running around is extremely disturbing, and the fact that it also happened in front of her parents, I can't imagine what they're going through right now. And again, I just hope that they can pull through this, and I just want to send my condolences out to them again. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Huncho, and I'm out.